Welcome to Are You Financially Fit with Scotiabank. I'm Dekel.
And I'm Ethan. Today we're exploring the ultimate goal, building wealth as a couple.
That's from joint budgeting to long-term investments. The Scotiabank experts are here to share practical strategies, personal stories, and actionable tips to help you and your partner achieve financial freedom.
Whether you're just starting out or already on your way, this episode is packed with valuable insights to boost your joint financial journey as a family. Get ready to transform your finances.
And let's get financially fit. Today we have Jerissa Russell and Raymond Dean joining us for another awesome conversation. So Jerissa, thank you for being here. For those who don't know you, can you tell us a bit about you, who you are, what you do?
Sure. So as mentioned, my name is Jerissa Russell. I've been with Scotiabank for the past 15 years and really excited to talk about my journey with Scotiabank as well as how that integrates into personal, being a married couple as well.
So Raymond, for those who don't know you, I want you to just kind of introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
For sure. My name is Raymond Dean, and I'm a Premium Relationship Officer at the Cable Beach branch. I've been with Scotiabank since October of 2021 in Canada. I recently transitioned into my role as of April of this year.
So now, Raymond, building wealth, like I hear that, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree, that sounds super, super intimidating, right? What is one or two ways that, a couple can stay motivated while they're actually growing their finances?
I believe that a few ways that couples can stay motivated while growing their finances would be to just set up smaller objectives for themselves that ultimately leads towards the path of wealth. So this can look like keeping your expenses at a minimum just by budgeting. This can look like allocating a certain percentage of your pay to a savings account and making sure that you're not touching that savings account. This can also look like combining your earned income as a couple to potentially invest in something that could bring passive income for the both of you. And I feel like another important point would be to know your why as a couple. Know why you're doing this.
So Jerissa, I have a question for you. What would you say is the ultimate power move for a couple when it comes to investing in their future?
So I would have to say two things that come to mind. One is execution. So Raymond spoke about all the different things you can do if you want to have a plan as a couple, right? And we can write down all the beautiful boards and the goals and the budget. But if we don't execute, nothing will ever happen. And the second part of that for me would be communication, because we are a couple. Yes, they told us on day one, we have become as one, right? But if you have in your head and I do in mine, we may have an idea, but we may be moving in different directions. So it's really important that we communicate as a couple. For you, your goal may be to own your own home. For your spouse, his goal may be to have an investment and just have, build savings and store up in the event of an emergency or unexpected, expenses. And so that's why it's really important. One, we actually execute, bring it to life, what it is that we want, bring it out of the ground, as they say. And then two, of course, communicate so that we remain on the same page always at all times.
I love that. I feel like Jerissa was listening in on our conversation this week because we literally had this exact conversation about, just like, moving forward, where do we want to invest? What do we want to, getting on the same page?
Right.
We redid our budget.
Yes.
And now, like you said, the important thing is the execution. So I feel like we're on a good path.
Right. And just to continue on with that point, right? It's important that you have those ongoing conversations about budgeting. For my husband and I, we actually create a budget every year, because even if your circumstances may increase or decrease, once again, we had that old execution, but, circumstances may have changed. So we have to reevaluate, as you do in your business. You every year you have a plan, you have a goal. And so it's really important that we have to regularly reevaluate our plans and our goals.
Yeah, like Charles told us on episode 2, life be lifing. So sometimes you gotta
every
adjust.
every day.
So Ray, what would you say are some ways that you can spot some financial opportunities for growth, and really, in your position, what role do you play in this process for couples?
Yeah, so I would say it would be first understanding where weaknesses lie within the financial plan and educating yourself on various products and services that the bank offers. I would say that you would have to have regular meetings with your officer or financial advisor, whether that be a quarterly meeting or a semi-annual meeting, because finances change often, right? You may be at a different life stage right now than you were a couple of years ago. So you would have to adjust that as you see fit. And then I would say while having those conversations, you would have to be completely transparent with the person that you're with, your officer, your advisor, so that they can advise you properly moving forward.
I like that.
I like that.
Jerissa, so I am a lover of travel at this point. It's episode 3. I have mentioned on all episodes that I like to go and I like to bring my husband with me.
We're aligned.
But you with me on that.
Totally.
Awesome. But I'm also a planner and I appreciate the need to save. My husband likes to say he don't like to tell me no. So if I want to do it, like he's like, we can make it happen.
Right.
But how would you suggest couples go about balancing that short-term fun with the long-term goals, right? We have financial goals, but I also like to go, you know?
like to live.
I want to enjoy life,
Right.
right? So how would you suggest that couples go about balancing short-term fun with long-term goals?
So when you were asking the question, Ethan, about the dreamer and the planner, I cannot say how much I was there with you because in my marriage, I am the 100% dreamer and my husband is the planner. So, you know, I'm always checking to see where we can go next and, you know, how much is it going to cost? And then, you know, I'm coming to him and saying, okay, so how it's going to happen. And over the years, like you mentioned, you know, a little sprinkle of planning because it's all fun and good to have a dream and to have fun and to live life. But if you don't have the budget for it or the money for it, then it will only be and will remain a dream. Yeah. And so how we can find an even balance between those two is creating a budget. And I think the word of the day is budget. We keep saying budget because we need to make sure that we actually have something to bring the dream, bring the living to fruition. Yeah. And so what's really important, and you talked about budgeting as a household. Yes, we have to keep the lights on. Yes, we have to put groceries in the house. But in my personal budget, you make space for the fun stuff, right? And reason being you have to put it in budget is because if you spend too much money on having fun, there will not be enough to take care of the things that need to get exactly. Yeah. And so what I would say is making sure that yes, you budget for every single thing. And when I say budget for every single thing, meaning if we know we do movie night on Fridays or we quarterly, like Raymond said, you know, have a financial checkup with our bank, you know, it's really important that we count for every single dollar because a lot of times we are surprised how much money we're actually spending on the fun stuff.
Miscellaneous.
And then exactly. And then when it's Christmas time, Santa doesn't have that elaborate gift because we've spent all year doing other things. And so budgeting every single dollar, not just what hits the account, but what you probably didn't even remember you had, making sure we budget for every single thing, you'll be able to live life, enjoy, and of course be able to rest and relax at the end of it.
And you know, as you guys are talking, you know, I'm realizing that that's really one of the greatest similarities between being physically fit and financially fit, right? Like you require the exact same characteristics and things in order to be successful in both. You require, because as you were talking about, you know, the budget, I was thinking about my meal plan, right? Like you need to be able to, you know, eat for your goals, which means that you need to be able to plan for your goals from a financial standpoint. So, I mean, it's crazy how much of the same actions and qualities are required to be successful and to be physically fit as well as financially fit. So are you financially fit?
Are you?
Are you? So now, Jerissa, you and I are both dreamers, right? What would you say are some financial tools that I could use that would help me achieve the ultimate goal of actually building wealth? as a dreamer, as somebody who doesn't really plan?
Right. So obviously, we talked about the budget, so we don't need to talk anymore about that. It would be the financial check-ins with your Scotiabank sales officer, right?
So hold on.
Go
What
ahead.
exactly is a financial check-in? Like, what does
Sure.
this?
So what a financial check-in, it's really important. And Raymond mentioned earlier in our conversation that, you should check in with your financial planner. We in banking, we always say that, treat us like you do your doctor. Your doctor, you every year we go either to the doctor, the dentist, get our regular cleanings, check-in, blood work, all of that. So that's how you really should be treating your finances. And so similar to a doctor, if you are, at a very bad state, there's very little that he or she can do. However, if you're doing that regular check-in, you can circumvent certain pitfalls. So I say that to say, for those of us who are dreamers, if we had a goal with our spouse that we said we wanted to save and plan for this vacation of a lifetime or our dream home,
Go
I
to
put
Dubai in
plenty pressure.
January.
Plenty pressure. Dubai is hot. But if you, check in with your financial advisor, really making sure that I remain on track. And so, I spent a lot, it's Black Friday, Raymond, I know I told you that I was going to save X amount of dollars, but that did not happen. I
Sale
couldn't
was sweet.
avoid those sales. So, that's why it's important as your banker that we reel you back and say, now listen, Ethan, you remember this is the plan that we had. We said we were going to save this amount in this amount of period of time. And so what we need to do is we need to refocus and make sure that you are continuing to make the right choices. So it's really important that we're checking in, well, first with our spouse, because we made that commitment to one another that, we will hold each other accountable. And then, of course, second, to your financial advisor, just to make sure that we remain on track. Because now if we've made a certain pitfall or made not so good a decision, our end goal and date has changed. So we planned to take Dubai in January. Now we may have to take Dubai in June. And then, too, that reels us back in as dreamers because it gives us a gut check to say, okay, I need to start making some better decisions because I'm getting older. My circumstances may change. And so that's why it's really important that check-in is happening. At Scotiabank, we want to ensure that our clients are checking in with us and we are checking in with them at least every 3 months just to appreciate if their circumstances have changed, what other financial advice and guidance that we can give.
And I'm a bit of a dreamer, but I think my scale is tipped a little bit more to the planner side. I'm more of a saver. So Ray, for me, what would you say, what tools, because I feel like sometimes that being heavier on the planning side is a double-edged sword sometimes, because I feel like I don't take those risks that could sometimes, especially in business, lead to the reward, right? So because I'm a planner, one, what would you suggest as far as financial tools that would be great for me in terms of building wealth, but also give me some space to expand on the dreaming side as well?
Yeah, so I would say you obviously have like your financial calculators that you would be able to use as a financial tool. To go back to my point where I said you can allocate a certain percentage of your pay towards a savings account, and there's no cap on the amount of savings accounts that you can have. You can have multiple savings account that's geared toward different objectives. So you can allocate a certain percentage to this savings account and that savings account to make sure that you're saving for, let's say, the short-term fund, as well as saving towards the long-term objective as well. And you could even go as far as to get a joint savings account. So it's not just you allocating a certain percentage of your funds to this account, but your husband as well.
Pull his money into. Yeah.
However you decide to divide it.
I like that. Okay, so here's the balance.
Yes.
I plan, you dream. You put your dream money, I put my plan money. And it works.
And
We
it
go to
works,
Dubai
yeah.
in January.
That's it.
Oh,
Fingers
wow.
crossed.
Wow, that's hilarious.
What's hilarious, the Dubai?
No, just how you said it.
Oh, okay.
We got to
Keep
speak
going.
it and make it plain.
We already talked.
Speak it into existence.
It's
That's it.
coming.
Yeah.
Ethan, you going to Dubai in January.
I
I'm
know,
not sure if you
'cause
realize that yet.
He's been the one telling me. I'm like looking at the plan,
See,
and I'm
right.
like,
so no, so that's the
January
thing. Like, so this is
And
where
he's
the
like,
planning comes in
yep.
because for her, if she can't see it,
I have to see it.
like she can't see
Show
it
me.
in black and white, like this is where it is.
Show me.
Then she's like, you know, like that ain't real talk. But for me, and I guess this is where the dreaming comes in, because like my thing is I ain't worrying about how, like, I know we can be straight. Like we want to go, we can get it there.
But here's the thing though, and it's so ironic that you two, like how you're speaking, it's very nostalgic, because not to be ironic, but when planning a vacation to Dubai for my husband's birthday, Ethan, we moving in the spirit, because I was like, we could get there and it could be fun.
You can figure it out when you get back.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And
It's
he's like,
Dubai.
but how are we going to get there? We going to get there. And so it was like, okay, what I need you to do is give me some black and white. And so, of course, you start, me being the dreamer, started looking at all the things I wanted to do and all the places I wanted to go, and realizing how many dollars it took to get there. And so that's why, you know, it's so important. Like you said, you need to have a balance, because once again, as dreamers, we need to be reeled back in, because it helps us to appreciate it's going to be this cost. And that's why I said, you know, we need to know the cost to get us to the moon.
Yeah.
If we don't know how, we just saying we gonna get there. But if we don't know how much it's gonna cost, because in our minds we're thinking it's only gonna be a couple $100.
It's the plane tickets. No,
when
but
we realize it's the plane tickets, it's the hotel, it's the activities, that's
shopping.
Correct. That's no different than we talk about even outside of a trip. If we talk about, you know, planning for a home, planning for retirement,
Yeah.
what does that cost look like? Because even for retirement, as Bahamians, we don't always plan for that. We may say, well, if I save up only $200 a month and I'm going to be working for X amount of years, you may think that may be sufficient, but we may not be able to get our mortgage years down. And when it comes time for retirement, we don't have what we thought we had or what we needed to function as a household. And so that's why it's really important. I appreciate my spouse for being the planner, because it really, you know, brings everything into existence and realistic expectations.
balance.
Yes.
Right.
Dubai.
Now, Jerissa, on the topic of personal finances, right? Like, the reality is that Dekel and I are both entrepreneurs, and we actually have a business together that we use to execute certain projects, right? We have experience where our personal finances have taken a hit as a result of some of the business practices, right? How would, or what would be the best way for us to kind of safeguard against that? Because, you know, just like most small businesses, sometimes it's self-funded, you got to get capital, things like that. So what are some things that we can do to kind of safeguard our personal finances from being affected by what's going on in our various businesses and our joint ventures?
You've always heard the term, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so, as you mentioned, as business owners, no matter how big or small your business is, what's happening in your personal life will impact what's happening in the business life. And so what's really important is that we don't, as we say in the banking world, commingle. So the first thing is you have to make sure that your personal transactions are separate from your business transactions. That also means, and we talked about budgeting, we have to budget in our business as well, because as business owners, we think sometimes, well, budgeting really is just for my personal transactions. But as we've seen, life be lifing, you know, we've all been through a pandemic. And for those of us who didn't have the capacity to prepare for an emergency situation, like you mentioned, your personal experience, your personal circumstances would have been impacted. And so it's really important that, one, you set out a clear plan and budget for your business, meaning that you set your 1-year goal, 3-year goal, your 5-year goal, and you do that in tandem with your personal life. For example, in your business, you may decide you're now branching off into a new product, or branching off into creating another location. If the business does not financially prepare or is financially fit to take on that added growth, then it's really, you're doing a disservice to your personal life now of adding that extra budget, because financially, personally, we may not have it in our budget to do that. And so that's why both entities, personal and business, needs to be running in tandem and be self-sufficient of one another.
Interesting. Thanks. That I mean, it makes a lot of sense. So I
Yeah,
totally get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to ask Raymond, how do you feel? I know we hear a lot of times people say, you know, don't mix business and family. What is your take on working together, having a business together or joint ventures together as a couple? Is it romantic or is it risky?
That's actually a great question. Me personally, I feel like it's a little bit of both, depending. It could be romantic in the beginning when it aligns with your future goals as a couple. But at the same time, if you and your partner are not aligned to where you have the same objectives financially, the same goals, then it could be a bit risky because one person may be essentially a planner, the other one may be a dreamer. So it may clash at the end of the day. So I say that in terms of doing that, you would just have to make sure that you're aligned moving forward. I guess that's where the conversation would have to be had. And you guys can go from there.
Do you think you're a planner or a dreamer, Ethan?
I think I'm a dreamer with a sprinkle of planning.
I told him that off camera. And what am I?
You're my lovely wife.
Okay.
Oh, my love.
All right.
Safe bet.
You thought he had practice. But I think we both, so we have individual businesses. We work together on special projects. We actually have a joint account designated for a business venture that we do together, a project that we execute on. And we're both big on, in our personal lives and in the business side of things, communicating. Whether we agree on everything or
Right.
not, I think that's where it can kind of get, at least for me, risky, learning how to separate when to have those business conversations and when we're talking about personal. Like, for us, our lives kind of just blend a lot.
Right.
We'll be at the kitchen table
There
talking
you go.
business when I just want to sip my coffee in peace, you
Right.
know? So sometimes that's not as romantic.
Yeah.
But then when you pull something off or you hit a big goal,
Correct.
it
Yes.
becomes like, yeah, we did this together. Like, we did that.
Yeah.
So I think like Raymond said, it could be a bit of both, but it's all about that
Totally agree.
communication. Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you, Jerissa, and thank you, Raymond, and thank you for joining us on this journey to building wealth as a couple. Remember, you and your partner have a chance to win 3 free months of subscription to my Flex Squad app and a Bowflex Barbie merch bundle when you watch all 3 of the episodes and comment on the keyword that appeared on the screen in each episode. Make sure you're following Scotiabank Bahamas.
Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Start building your financial legacy today with sound advice from Scotiabank.
Be sure to visit Scotiabank's branch or website, bs.scotiabank.com, to learn more about the resources mentioned in this episode.
Stay committed to your financial goals and celebrate your progress. Share your thoughts in the comments using #FinanciallyFit.
Remember, Scotiabank is here to share advice that considers you.
If you want to learn more about the resources mentioned in this episode, visit Scotiabank's website at bs.scotiabank.com.
And make sure you're following Scotiabank on Instagram at Scotiabank Bahamas to know when the next episode of Are You Financially Fit goes live.
Until next time, bye.
Bye.